Welcome to Nox Spellenzolder, and this time I want to take a look at the epic stories of Blank and Blank, published by Human Approved Productions. It's a game for 3 to 7 players, which takes about 20 to 40 minutes to play. And this is a story-based party game in which the players will alternate between the role of the monster who tries to destroy the city of Blankington by creating devious plans and plots, or the heroes who try to save the city. Every player will take on a role. In every round those roles will shift, and you will try to make up a story how you're going to achieve your goals. After everybody has told their own stories, everybody will vote. You'll get a point if your story is picked the most, and then the roles will shift and we start a new round. And so the player at the end of the game who's collected the most points, who has told the best stories, will eventually be crowned the winner. The game you see before you and the rules that I will explain are still a prototype, so things may differ from the finished product. But first, let's have a look at what's in the box. The game is created by Robin Smit, Rowan van Drie, Dirk van der Meer and Marijn de Boer. And we get the rules. I have a simple variation, but they're in English. 5 easy steps to set up and start playing the game. We get a board for every team. We have Team Monster and the hero teams. Depending on the amount of players, a certain number of hero teams will be in the game. And these boards contain room for your voting cards and your story cards. We get the various story cards. Half of them have pictures on them and the other half have texts. And we get a set of voting cards for every team to decide whose story was most impressive and will be victorious at the end of each round. And we have the victory point markers with the typewriters on them. That's what we're getting. Let's start playing the game. And this is how the game is set up. In my example, I've used a 5-player setup. One player will become Team Monster. Team Monster is always one single player, and the other players are divided equally amongst the teams. In a 5-player setup, it is advised to have 2 teams consisting of 2 players. Every team will receive a set of voting cards and 4 story cards. The remaining story cards will be shuffled in a draw pile and the victory points will be placed within reach. The objective of the game is to be the first to collect 5 victory points. That's how we set up the game. Let's start playing it. Every round starts with the monster player. The monster player will choose to make a story based on the cards in their hand. You start with, in this example, 4 cards, 2 of which have pictures depicted on them and 2 of which have words depicted on them. You will choose 2 of these cards. You don't necessarily have to choose either one picture and the text. You can either choose to take the 2 pictures or the 2 text cards, and based on these cards you will create a story on how you as a monster will dominate the world. So for example, I will choose the horse and the exotic fruit salad. The cards I don't use I place face down on my team board, and the cards I'm using I'm going to place open. Now I have to make up a story on how I as a monster am going to dominate the world using these 2 cards, incorporating those into my story. So I've chosen the horse and the exotic fruit salad. Well, the exotic fruit salad, it brings to mind the image of a white sandy beach with palm trees, hangmats, a sun burning, and a very, very, very large table filled with exotic fruits and refreshments. Very attractive to people. The horse, it's orange here, but In my mind it's white. It symbolizes serenity, beauty, elegance, and combining these two factors together, I'm going to create a Elysium, a paradise. I'm going to make people want to be in this paradise, and if they're entering, they will want to enjoy the sun, enjoy the scenery, enjoy the exotic fruit salad bar. And it wouldn't be an exotic fruit salad if I hadn't put something exotic in there, something a little magical. Once people start eating my exotic fruit salad and start riding my beautiful horses and enjoying the scenery, they don't want anything else in life except fattening themselves and doing nothing. And so slowly but surely the entire human society will crumble because nobody will do anything anymore. And that's how I, as a monster, want to conquer the world. So that's how I start the story. This is my plan I lay out before the hero teams, and after I've done that, the hero teams will use their cards set in the same way to create a heroic story of how they're gonna try to stop and foil my plans. So they're gonna pick 2 cards as well. The remaining cards will be placed on the team board and they will tell their story. I'm not going to spoil these for you. I'm just going to leave you with some images and words to maybe think of your own stories here. So after both teams have told their heroic stories of how they're going to foil my devious plans, everybody's going to take a vote. You're going to vote on whose story you liked best. You can't vote for yourself, so I'm the monster player, so I can't choose myself. So for instance, I liked the story of Team Blue the best. Put my vote card over here. Again, these are not the definite voting cards because they don't have any backs, but this is a prototype. The other players will also choose a team. I'm just going to put them open. For instance, they really liked my story. Of course they did, because I am the one making the review. So the one who got the most votes is automatically the winner. They will receive 1 victory point, and the round is come to an end. All the cards that have been played are going to be placed in the discard pile. You'll draw up so you have another 4 cards in your hand, and the roles shift clockwise. So for instance, Googly Eyes will become the new monster player, Team Blue will consist of the black and red player, and I will join Team Red with Army Guy. And we start a new round. The monster will tell us a new story, and we as the heroes will try to foil it again. And that's how the epic story of Blank and Blank is played. The epic story of Blank and Blank is a party game which thrives on the imagination, the creativity of the party, the group of players. But at the same time, it's very easy to get people involved because you have the great artwork. I like the artwork because of 2 reasons. First of all, it's a sort of stylized 3D rendering. And secondly, the images are very open to interpretation, so it's very easy to imagine your own story around the images on the various cards. The text cards, they're a bit more narrow because they're very precise in what they represent, so they do give you some nice triggers upon which you can further your story, but they are a bit more walled in, so it's well, your imagination is a bit more limited around the words. Still, they are great ways to help people go along. So the mix of those 2 cards, they make it very easy for people who are not used to playing storytelling games like these to just give them that extra boost to start making up their own stories. And especially because this is a party game, you play with a lot of friends. Some of them are able to make up stories very easily, and some people will find that a bit harder. The cards, they do help, and it is my experience that even the players who are not used to this, they will get energized, they will start enjoying making up those little stories, and as the game progresses they will become more intricate, more elaborate about putting in some details and making great stories. And that's basically what this game is about. It's about having fun with the group of people you're playing with, telling each other nice stories, trying to outdo each other by making grander and more epic stories as you go along. But it's basically about having fun together and telling stories. The game mechanics themselves, they're very easy. The rules are easy to understand. You can explain it in under a minute, and everybody can start playing, which is great. Because in a game like this, the emphasis should be on the mechanic itself, the storytelling, and not on how the rules are making the game work and tick. So it's great that the rules are so easy to understand and easy to explain. And finally, the replayability is also well done. You have a nice stack of cards, and you have all the imagination of all the players. So even if you get the same cards, there still will be different combinations, different stories, different associations of every player. So every game will be different. So all in all, this is a great party game if you like storytelling. Even if you're not that much into storytelling, this game will still be able to help you get into the mood, start telling your stories. They might start out small and simple, and as the game progresses and you get into the right flow, you'll be starting to enjoy it more and more, and maybe your stories will grow bigger and bigger. But the game mechanics are easy to understand, and the fun of it, the meat of the game, is based on the stories themselves. And this game does provide you with some great aids to produce your own epic stories. And for those reasons, I've given this game a 7.
Nox Spellenzolder.